Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we are going to take a look at some of the photos and talk about the trip that I took the last few weeks in Korea and then Japan. So there's no games today. We're just gonna talk. We're gonna have a old-fashioned slideshow and just go over the kind of fun things that I did over there. Now I will warn you that for the majority of my trip, my focus was really getting good food. So I am definitely my pictures were much focused on food, not much in terms of tourism. I looked at a few things because I had time to kill while I was full, for example. Also, there were a few days where it was crazy rainy, and I did get a shot of that. But without further ado, before I even take my first picture, I will tell you that I kind of ran into a little incident at the airport because for those of you who are going to go to Korea, you do need to fill out something called a KETA, and that's basically just confirmation that everything is in order for you. You actually have to pay a bit of money to get that application complete, but you do need to finish that before you are allowed to get a boarding pass to Korea. Now, I had making the mistake of I filled out the Q code thing, and I thought that was it, and I was done. Now, apparently, the Q code is the thing that you need actually when you go through the quarantine process to say everything is in order. I had completely missed the fact that KETA needed to be completed, and so I found that surprise as I was trying to get my boarding pass. Now, I wasn't alone. There were 3 other people who were in the same situation as me, so I didn't feel like a complete idiot. But boy, was I panicking crazy. Like those 30 minutes that I was waiting, just refreshing my Gmail to see if they got the application through was insane. And let me tell you, the requirements that were needed to upload your photo, it was just horrible. It had to be a small enough size, had to be a specific set of dimensions. One of the guys that were in the same situation as me actually ended up giving up on that process, and just went home, I guess, because he definitely wasn't on the plane. But thankfully, I got to the airport early enough so that I could do this application, wait for them to approve it, and then everything going through so that I could check in my bags and actually board the plane. So that was insane. And again, this was before I even took a single picture. Obviously, I was panicking like crazy. But wow, what a start. But after all was said and done, I was like, well, I should probably eat something because my plan was to grab something, and eat it there at the airport. But well, what's the quickest thing that I could find that I could get my hands on real quick? Because there wasn't that much time left after I wasted all that time waiting for the application to go through. So I got some sushi, some spicy tuna, and you can see a rolled over, shrimp roll there. Nothing amazing. It was good enough. At that point, I was just like, anything in my stomach would be great. So I went with some sushi. And one cool thing is, of course, you guys know that my channel is not only a Monster Strike channel, but it is a Hinatazaka game channel as well. And they actually had Demo Memorial Keys as part of one of the movie options on the plane. And you can see there on the middle right that it stars Akari Nibu, who is also one of the Hinatazaka members. So I thought that was pretty cool to see in there. And the food was actually great. I did upgrade my seat a little bit to the premium plus level, kind of like one of those like just under business class sections, and even though it was a center seat, it had a much more room on the seat. Actually was on a front, one of those open front seats sections, so I had amazing room to work around. It was definitely worth the upgrade there, if you can afford it. And the food was actually a little bit upgraded too. You can see here, I believe this was like a Thai curry chicken that they gave, and it tasted good actually, right? Like it actually tasted good. So that was a nice bonus. And then the breakfast here, you had like some bread. It was a tomato sauce, some sausages, fruit, a croissant. I mean, I was pretty happy with that. And so then, of course, that's a whole 12-hour ordeal to get to Korea. And then about an hour train ride from Incheon Airport to Seoul, which is, of course, the heart of the capital of Korea. And especially, specifically in Seoul, I stayed in Myeongdong. And Myeongdong is very nice for food, not only food, but more importantly, the street stalls that you can get outside at night. We'll see a little bit later there. But I ended up picking this hotel, Henna Hotel. Yes, it is a Japanese-based chain, I guess. But the cool thing is everything is done via robots. They do have people on site for, specific needs. But check-in was done through the robots. If you wanted to purchase, small things that you need in your hotel room, a robot will actually come up to the floor to your door and give it to you that way, which I thought was pretty darn cool. And they had a pretty cool dinosaur exhibit. It was actually moving around and making those noises in the lobby. So I mean, not really useful for anything, but I thought it was a cool thing to see. And so, once I settled in, of course, I was hungry for actual Korean food. And first thing I went here was this Michelin Bib Gourmand rated place. And apparently this has been here for quite a while. And, it's a nice, I guess, representation of Myeongdong. One of their, big famous food types is kalguksu. And kalguksu is essentially just noodles that you cut with a knife, and then you have a nice just clean beef broth, I think. And I mean, it's just amazing. And on top of that, where's the next? There you go. So you see those noodles on the right, just nicely, just hand cut noodles that you end up cooking. You get some mandu there, and you get some beef chunks, all in a nice beef broth. Which, I mean, I'll admit, I kind of prefer things a little bit more heavier in terms of flavor. This is definitely on the light side, but it's just such a clean flavor that it is really great. And the beef chunks that you see on top really did add a nice punch of flavor to every bite. So I thought it was quite great. But you can see next to it is some mandu, dumplings. Very, very tasty. I was on the fence about getting another pack of those mandu just by themselves because they were so good. But they only come 12 at a time. Was it 12? No, that's not 12. That's 10. 10 pieces. But those went so quickly. You just pop, pop, pop. They were so good. So good. And I will have to say, I love kimchi. I prefer gakdugi, which is more of a radish, cube form. But of course, the standard kimchi that you usually see are from those, cabbage, large cabbage leaves. But this kimchi was super, super garlicky. It was the amount of garlic flavor you get from that kimchi was nothing like I've ever had before. And I was talking to my brother about that. He was a little bit more informed than myself about Korean stuff. And he said that is what they are famous for here. So he was fully expecting that reaction from me. And one thing I did know was that the person next to me just basically dumped that whole kimchi bowl into their kalguksu, mixed it up, and then promptly asked for another bowl of kimchi. So I thought that was pretty funny. Maybe a normal thing to do, but very nice. And wow, were they efficient in just producing this food and moving people in and out. I was surprised, but the line went pretty quickly, so it makes sense. Very, very nice first meal. And of course, like I was alluding to, Myeongdong has a lot of street food available that you can just walk around. After a point, they kind of repeat themselves. So there's no... Well, actually, that's not true. There are unique ones across the road. But you'll see that as you're walking through, maybe a third or a quarter of the way through that street, you'll start seeing some of the same things over and over again. But, branch out to the different streets and see what other things that they have. I got a hot dog here, which is basically, a flat oil fried pancake. And inside of that, you get some lovely, cinnamony honey sauce inside. Very hot, very tasty. I love this thing so much. It is very nice. And then I also got a cheese dog because I thought that would be a nice little bonus for that day. And also picked up a pear cider that I saw from the local convenience store, which I thought would be a nice treat at the end of the day. Oh yeah, and they also are selling these cute little fruit mochis in bags. They had like muscat, grapes, strawberries, mango. I opted for peach here. If they had pineapple, I would have gone for that, but the peach looked really good. Tasted super juicy. It was amazing. And then the next day, I decided, the vending machines are always nice in Japan and Korea, and ended up getting this oransi, which is, you can see it's a pineapple, low calorie, so didn't have the punch. I didn't notice the low calorie until after I bought it, but that's fine. But I did go to my aunt's place, and of course she was gonna treat me to just some homemade lunch. They did also order some stuff, but invited some of the family members, extended family members that I do have in Korea. By the way, I guess if you don't know that about me, even though you can see my name is Scott Nakamura, I am actually half Korean, in addition to being obviously Japanese. So I do have family in Korea, and it was nice to see them again. And you can see here, this was an amazing feast that my auntie prepared for me. The seafood dish you see in the middle was just a whole bunch of spicy sauce with bean sprouts, which admittedly I don't like that much, but also had a bunch of octopus cut up in there, which was really, really tasty to eat. But yeah, lots of other stuff. You got meat in the bag, you got even more kimchi, you've got I guess kind of see in the middle right side just a whole bunch of raw fish that they had. Wow, that's an amazing plate of just variety of plates for everybody to eat. It was a lot, and to be honest, I was really full until really late into the night, so I didn't get this Korean barbecue until I think 9:30. But here I ended up getting something called ogyopsal. There we go, ogyopsal. And if you know Korean barbecue, you might be familiar with something called samgyeopsal, and that's basically just like a 3-layered pork belly cut of meat. They cut it in a way so that you get kind of like 3 different sections available. Ogyopsal, O in Korean is 5. So basically you're exchanging the sam, which is 3, turning that into 5, which means now you're getting a 5-layer cut of pork. And what's the difference is that cut will go all the way up to the skin of the pig. And so you get a nice different texture to this cut of meat. Which I don't think you can really see on this photo very well, but maybe, I guess, I don't know, admittedly, when I was finally sitting there at the barbecue station, I was ready to eat them rather than taking pictures. So I actually forgot to take a picture of the galbi in the back. Not galbi? No, I think it was a galbi cut. When it was all said and done, but boy, was that super tasty. The texture was really nice. It was definitely on the crispier side for the ogyopsal, and the galbi cuts was your standard cut of meat that you love from Korean barbecue. So very, very nice food there. And I just really wanted to take a picture of how intense that rain was. My shoes were completely wet. It was terrible walking back home, but I wanted to get food, so I needed to find a restaurant, and this was fairly close by, so it wasn't that long of a trip, but boy, was this rain intense. And then the next day, I had a wedding to go to, and that's really the reason why I went to this trip in the first place, right? One of my old coworkers is getting married in Korea. I'm looking snazzy there in that suit, but of course another story of disaster narrowly averted is, of course, I decided to take the train to go to the station because my my buddy who is the groom, he told me it's right next to the train station. You'll have an easy time getting there. And honestly, it is a straight line from Seoul, where I was staying, to Incheon, where the wedding was. Now, admittedly, it's at the end of the line, so it's quite a long trip. But it should have been straightforward. Now, of course, I got ready. I actually got to the train station a little bit early, and of course, that was my mistake because I did not check to see what the final destination of the train that came a little bit earlier from the one that I had planned to take on Google Maps. And to put it simple, if I wanted to go this way to go to the wedding, halfway through, that train ends up taking a 90-degree turn and goes this way. And I knew there was a lot of stops before I needed to get to the wedding venue, so I was, playing a game on my phone, and I knew it's like, okay, 20-30 minutes later, I'll take a look at the stations and see where I'm at. And of course, I did not realize where I was until I was pretty much, I want to be here. I was down here now instead of going this direction, right? So, I finally realized that I've screwed up. I need to figure out what to do, and I find that if I were to take the train, going into the correct direction, I would just barely make it by like 2-3 minutes if everything was on time. If I transferred everything okay, I didn't think I could take that risk, so I got off the station as soon as I could. Went outside to the train station. Outside, thankfully, it was a pretty bustling city. I don't remember where I was, but I easily got a got a taxi. Now, unfortunately, the taxi driver couldn't understand where this place was and wasn't familiar with it. And despite trying to put it into his GPS system multiple times, he just could not get it. I think after like the 6th attempt, he finally was able to find the hotel that I needed to go to and the directions to get there, and we were finally on our way. But even that when that happened, I was panicking again. It's like, what does this keep happening to me? It was pretty stressful, but thankfully we got there, got to the wedding, and made it on time with plenty of time to spare. My buddy was, of course, running around as you would for a wedding, very busy. So it's not like I could talk to him that much, but really happy to see him. He was happy to see me because definitely his wife is the one who is actually Korean. He's not actually Korean himself, so I don't think there were too many people that came over on his side of the family. Whereas the bride's family, a lot of them probably live there in Korea, so definitely different balance there. But of course, after the wedding, and it was a quick wedding, I guess this hotel which they had the ceremony in, they had a lot of people on the docket. I saw, so they were going pretty fast, and I don't think it lasted more than an hour, possibly even less. They were running through it pretty quickly. And they ushered us to the buffet area, where you can imagine basically, I forget how many pictures of these I took. I only took one. I probably just didn't put them in the folder here, but imagine just a full banquet. I think there was at least 7-8 tables, of those circle tables, just lining this big hallway, and that whole wall is just filled with these kind of foods there, from Korean food, sushi, desserts, raw stuff, just amazing variety. Now, I'll admit, you can see the variety of stuff that I picked here, like the fried shrimpies on top. The sushi was still frozen though, so kind of disappointing to see that. But it was solid food, which I'm pretty happy about. I'm not going to complain about that. And the view from the reception banquet area was really nice. I love seeing this kind of like contrast between ancient architecture and then modern architecture being right behind it. I think it looks pretty awesome. And this was just like right outside. You look out the windows from where you're eating and you can see this beautiful just contrast, which I thought was pretty cool to see. And then of course I was really full. Like that's not all. I think I ate 2 more plates after that, as well as a dessert plate, which probably was a bad idea thinking about it, because I was really full again. So again, just resorted to night food here. Went to a, you know, your standard tteokbokki dish, which I think I have a picture about later. But you know, got some other snacks. Like this one I really like. It was just bread that's sweet. I don't want to say sweet bread because that means something else, right? But just a bread that was sweet, has a fried egg on top, and then you're just eating that. Super cheap, super simple, super tasty. And then this was a really nice, you know, quick dish that they had, where it was just like fried chicken and a kind of sweet sauce, and has those tteok there, which is just mochi balls. Very, very tasty. I ate that really quick walking around. And of course, like I said, the tteokbokki, which is of course rice cakes in a spicy sauce. Very nice. And I found a nice sparkling peach drink on the way back as well. Okay, well, we are hitting 20 minutes already, so I'm gonna break it here, and we will finish off the last half of this video in another video. I'll probably have a little bit, I don't know how many parts I'll have in Japan, but for sure, I'm pretty sure we can finish Korea in the second part, because just a few more days after the wedding until I take off going into Japan and getting some more awesome food that way. So if you like what you saw here, leave a like, comment. Hopefully, you know, if you're interested in any of these restaurants, I will try to put them in the description below. If I've missed them, just let me know and, you know, poke me about that, and I will do that later. And yeah, we'll just see more of my food adventures and anything else I can recall while I'm going through them again, and enjoy reminiscing about this awesome trip. And hopefully it inspires you to go out and travel, because it is a lot of fun. You know, the people are very friendly in Korea and Japan. So, I mean, of course, they're not without their faults, but I think for somebody who is, you know, maybe wants to make their first trip out since COVID, it's a pretty awesome set of locations to go to. So anyways, thank you for watching. Until next time, bye bye.